Before we get into today's episode, I need to say something to somebody. You have been tired for so long that you forgot what it feels like to not be tired. You've been sleeping, but you wake up just as heavy as when you closed your eyes the night before. You've been taking breaks, but none of them actually restore you. And you've been telling yourself that if you just push a little bit harder, get a little further, do a little bit more, then you can rest. Baby, that day is never going to come. Not like that. So today, we're going to talk about something that nobody told you. There are 5 different types of rest, and most of us, especially us Black women over 40 and 50, who've been through the fire, have been running on empty in every single one of them. Welcome to Fix Her Crown, the podcast for the woman who has fallen hard, dusted herself off, and is figuring out what comes next. I'm your host, Coach Janae, business startup strategist, resilience coach, and certified coach of life success.
Yeah. Pressure made a diamond. Now she glowing in her purpose. This one's for Coach Janae. God's gift. For real. She came from pain, came from nights left alone. Taught to survive in a world turned to stone. Abandoned, abuse, pushed aside and ignored. But still she rose, grace walking through the storm.
And somebody who knows what it's like to hit the floor and have to decide whether to stay there or get back up. If this is your first time here, welcome home. And if you've been riding with me all along, you know how we do. We don't do surface level here. We go all the way in. Today's episode is called She Didn't Need More Sleep. She Needed Real Rest. And I believe with everything in me that by the time this episode is over, something's going to shift for you. So get comfortable. Let's get into it. Let me tell you why I'm talking about rest on a business and life coaching podcast. Because rest is not a lifestyle topic. Rest is a strategy. Here's what I've learned while working with women who are in the middle of their pivot. Women who've come through divorce, financial collapse, job loss, health crisis, grief, broken relationships. Women who've had their whole identity shaken loose. These women are not lazy, they're depleted. And there is a difference, a real difference. Lazy is a choice, and depletion is what happens when you've been given everything that you have to your kids, to your job, your community, your church, everybody around you. And you haven't been intentional about what pours back into you. And for Black women over 40 and 50, this is not just a personal wellness issue. This is a survival issue because the data is clear. We carry stress at levels that age us faster, that compromise our health, shrink our vision for what's possible. And so much of that stress lives in our body because we never learned how to properly rest. We're taught to be strong, we're taught to keep going, and we're taught that rest is for when the work is done. But I'm here to tell you, the work's never done. So we have to learn a different way. Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, who literally wrote the book on this, identifies 7 types of rest. But I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most critical ones today, specifically through the lens of a woman in her pivot, a woman rebuilding, a woman who has survived something and now needs to restore something. So, are you ready? Let's go. Type 1 is mental rest. I want to ask you something. When was the last time your mind was actually quiet? Not asleep, quiet, present, still. Because here's what mental depletion looks like: you lie down, but your brain is still running on the meeting. You start a task and you can't finish them. You forget things that you always remembered. You replay conversations, you rehearse arguments, you catastrophize everything. That's not tiredness. That is a mind that has never been given permission to stop, halt. For women who've been through trauma and a hard fall in your 40s and 50s, they often carry trauma. The mind runs constantly because it's trying to protect you. It's scanning for the next threat. It doesn't trust stillness because stillness is where grief lives. Mental rest means creating a container for all your thoughts so they don't have to live in your body. And that looks like journaling before bed, not long, just a brain dump, right? It also looks like prayer or meditation as practice of release, not just petition. It looks like scheduled think time so your brain isn't scrambling all day. Now, if you can't remember the last time your mind felt clear, mental rest is your starting point. Type 2, social rest. Every relationship in your life fits into one of these 2 categories. It either gives you energy or it takes it. So after a hard season, you do not have the margin to keep spending yourself on relationships that only take. Social rest is not isolation, it's discernment. It means identifying the people in your life who you feel lighter after being around and being intentional about. You're being intentional about spending time with them. And it means having the courage to limit access to the people who drain you, even if you love them, even if they're family, even if they need you. I want to say that again. Limiting access is not abandonment, it's stewardship. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And a woman in her pivot needs every drop she has for her own restoration and her own next chapter. So, who in your life right now restores you? Call that person this week. Who in your life consistently leaves you exhausted? That relationship needs a boundary, even if it's just a temporary one, just while you rebuild. It's okay. Type 3 is sensory rest. We are the most overstimulated generation of women in history. The notifications, the news, the noise, the scroll, the group chats, the ambient chaos of just being alive in this moment. Your nervous system was not designed for this. And for women over 40 and 50 whose nervous systems have already been taxed by years of stress, grief, hormonal shifts, and life, that sensory load is crushing. Sensory rest means intentionally reducing the input. It means turning off notifications, maybe just for an hour, sitting in silence, actual silence, even just for 10 minutes, going outside without your phone, eating a meal without a screen. These are not luxury habits. These are survival skills. When your senses get a break, your nervous system can finally begin to regulate. And a regulated nervous system is the foundation of every good decision you need to make during your pivot. Now, type 4 is emotional rest. This is the one that makes Black women over 40 and 50 go quiet because we were raised, most of us, in a culture of strength. You don't show what you're going through. You don't burden people with your feelings. You handle it. You get through it, right? You keep it moving. And then we fall. And the fall is hard. And we get back up because that's what we do. But we carry every bit of what broke us right into the next chapter. Unprocessed, unexpressed, unhealed. Emotional rest means finally letting yourself feel what you've been holding. Now, that might look like therapy, and I'll never stop advocating for therapy for Black women. It might look like a trusted sisterhood where you can be real. It might look like honest prayer where you stop performing for God and just tell Him how you actually feel. It might look like crying in your car because you finally let yourself do that. You're not weak for feeling this. You're actually strong enough to face it. And that is the beginning of real healing. Now, if you've been strong for everybody else for years, emotional rest is your assignment. Let's think about that. Now, type 5 is spiritual rest. I saved this one for last because it's the one that holds all the others together. Spiritual rest is not about religion. It is about meaning. It is about the deep human need to know that your life matters, that your pain had a point, that where you've been is connected to where you're going. So for a woman who has fallen hard, who has lost something significant, whether it's a marriage, a career, a business, her health, her identity, her sense of self, one of the most devastating parts of that fall is the disconnection from purpose. You used to know why you were here, and then everything shifted and changed, and now you're just not sure. Spiritual rest is the practice of coming back to that. It's sitting with God or with your deepest sense of meaning, and then asking, what was I made for? What's still here? What is mine to do? And here's what I know from my own story and from the women I've walked alongside. That fall does not disqualify you. It deepens you. The pivot is not a detour. It's the path. Your purpose is not behind you. It's waiting for you right on the other side of this restoration. Now, I'd like to anchor everything we're talking about today in something bigger than a framework. I want to take you to the Word. Because here's the thing about rest and restoration. God has been talking about this the entire time. Joel 2:25 says, He will restore the years that the locust has eaten. The years, not just the days, not just the moments, the years, the ones you feel like you wasted, the ones that were stolen from you, the ones you spent surviving instead of thriving. God said, I'm giving those back. 1 Peter 5:10 says that after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who called you to His eternal glory, will Himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. 4 things: restore, confirm, strengthen, establish. Sit on that. Now, Psalm 147:3 says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. That's not a metaphor. That's medicine. It's medicine. Psalm 41:3 says, "The Lord sustains him on his sick bed and restores him to full health." Full, not partial, not mostly. Full. And finally, Job 42:10. This one's my favorite because it says that when Job prayed for his friends, God restored his fortunes. He gave him twice as much as he had before, double, double for everything the enemy took. So when you choose rest, mental, social, sensory, emotional, spiritual, you're not giving up. You are positioning yourself for what God already promised. You're getting into alignment with your restoration. I want you to know rest is an act of faith. All right, Fix Her Crown family, that's our episode for today. Here's some homework for you, though. I want you to identify which one of those 5 types of rest is most depleted in your life right now. Just one. Mental, social, sensory, emotional, spiritual. And this week, I want you to do one thing, one intentional thing to feed that specific type of rest. Journal it, pray about it, schedule it. Tell somebody who will hold you accountable. If you're in a season of rebuilding and you need someone in your corner, I want to invite you to book a discovery call with me. The link will be in the description. And we're going to talk about where you are, where you're going, and whether one of my coaching programs is the right next step for you. And if this episode spoke to you, please share it with another woman who just might need it. Leave a review and subscribe if you haven't already. Every share helps this message reach another sister who's been holding on all by herself for way too long. I'm Coach Janae. I believe in your comeback. I believe in your restoration. And I'll see you right back here next week. Now go fix your crown because it never fell off. It just needed adjusting. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah. Pressure made a diamond. Now she glowing in her purpose. This one's for Coach Janae. God's gift. For real.